let's go sign by sign through each sort of archetype, how you guys might be experiencing this weekend, or just sort of some ideas for what you might want to do with your time this weekend. So if you want to study this yourself, you can simply pull up a chart or imagine in your head a wheel, and you're going to picture whichever sign your sun is in. If you don't know your whole chart, just look at your sun, that's fine. If you know your chart more intimately, pay attention to your moon, okay? Especially because this is an eclipse where the moon, her light is being blocked and kind of occulted and dimmed. So there's an element here of, it's like we're trying to have a baby and the baby's breech, or the baby's like not coming out right, or something's, it's like something is not, it's portentous, it's almost an omen kind of. It's like something's not, there's blood, or there's something foretelling, it's warning us, right? So, okay, take your sign, put it in the first house. This is the derivative, sort of like the derivative house system. So like if you're, let's say a Taurus, put Taurus in the first house. Imagine that's all Taurus. And then you just go second house, then would be Gemini. Third house would be Cancer, so on and so forth, in order around the zodiac, okay? If you don't want to do that, don't worry about it. I'm going to help you out with this right now. So let's start first here with Aries, of course, the first sign. So for Aries, it's easy for you guys because the sign, whatever the planet's in, it's always in that natural house. So it's in the 5th house, the Leo house, this moon. That is the house of your inner child. Aries in particular, I think of the Aries archetype as being the essentialized. You have the essentialized, like the spirit of a person, of an identity. Okay, let's imagine you have the warrior who goes and fights the battle, and he's interchangeable with any of the other warriors. Okay, there's this quality of him being like this. He just goes and does the war, right? And then he comes back home and he's suddenly become like a hero. That's Leo. That's the manifested, the birthed. He's almost like in spirit form, Aries, like before the thing's been manifested and conscientiously with the sun been made into man. There's an instinctive and a primitive quality to Aries. There's a quality that many people who are Aries have in this life. It's their role. Sun and Aries people, they need to learn about their ego. That means they need to recognize, they have to learn that lesson of seeing things from other people's perspective. Leo, on the other hand, is an archetype that has to do with like, he is sometimes invested in, like can be invested in the idea that I'm the hero Achilles, I have a name, or I have an identity, an identifier from this, I'm from this family, or I'm from, these things that are external in a sense. I have created this unique identity for myself. So my point is, that's the shadow, lower side of Leo. The higher side would be, as I said earlier, that inner child part of you that's just alive. You were blessed with the breath of life, the sun. You're here to be a divine witness of experience. That's like healthy Leo. So think of the Aries archetype as being the sort of, as I said, essential, spiritual sort of, the idea of what it is to exist, and then Leo being that being manifested. Okay, so the point is, Aries, many times their egos get in their way, their own way. They do things and they don't even realize they're doing them. They can almost be sort of childlike in a lot of ways with learning socially how to treat other people. And a lot of times Aries will even, I have had a lot of Aries in my life, and there's an immaturity to Aries. And I don't mean that. I love Aries. I have an Aries moon, so I feel like I can say this and not get in trouble. But they can be thought of as being selfish when they're not actually many times trying to be selfish per se. They just don't even realize that what they're doing is hurting another person, because they're just moving without thinking. Now some Aries, depends on their whole chart, depends on their Mars. Where's their Mars? Like their Mars will tell you a lot about how they manifest, how they do their ego. Aries can also, they can be, how would you say? Well, my point is, with this moon being in Leo, which does have, it's a fire sign as well, so it's trining their sun. There's some other things happening too. We got Mars and Aries, and of course all the Capricorn that's happening. a little bit of ego wounding can happen, but at the same time, Jupiter in Sagittarius is trining them. So they're feeling good about themselves and their decisions, and they're going to feel good about like the thing that they're buying into. They're the ones, more than a lot of the other signs this year, they're going to buy into something that's not true. And that they're going to end up, that's the unfortunate side, the high side, that's the low side. The high side is they're probably going to have some experiences this year where they humble themselves and to another person's will, so to speak, and they learn some things about getting hurt, and or hurting other people, how they hurt people and how other people might hurt them, and lies and truth and all of that stuff. That's going to be a big Aries, some big Aries themes this year. And like a lot of times when we're so hyper-focused on how someone's hurt us in the past or how things have hurt us, and then we just do it to other people and perpetuate it to protect ourselves from getting hurt again, you're doing yourself no favors. You're not making the world a better place. And this year feels like a year where it starts out where Aries feels like everything's going to be amazing this year. It's going to be a great year. Or I've had also a lot of Aries that have actually kind of had a little, some hard stuff, but they've been keeping it kind of, on the DL. And, but they may feel hopeful this year. Opportunities sort of been thrown at them and really being given to them right now. And they may decide to take that opportunity, go ahead and move forward with that opportunity. But the opportunity is also square Neptune. It's a myth. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. So, but I could say this so I'm red in the face, and Aries will not hear me. So if you're an Aries, then you're not going to hear any of this. 5th house, you may, though, this weekend have something happen where you're like, ooh, maybe there is something happening here is this what I'm really thinking that it is, In particular, 5th house has to do with our life path, your identity, your ego, your love life. If you have children, anything that you create, if you're a creator, an artist, the creative process. It could be something that you might be a little bit disappointed by this weekend, or you may be let down by to a certain extent. Now, Taurus, it'll be in your 4th. So 4th house is home, the family. This is also your emotions, your feelings, your relationship to your mom, your relationship to the person, or that idea of who could I turn to, who's the one person that I could go to that would love me no matter what. That's kind of 4th house. And when you're an adult, a lot of times you have to be a grown-up and you kind of learn how to create your own little 4th house. You don't go to your mommy when you're hurt. Sometimes you just got to go inside yourself, take some time to yourself. So Taurus, it's a really good weekend to be home. Something at home may happen that is stressful, emotionally stressful, or it could even be you may have had plans that fell through. There could be a work-related conflict where you were going to stay home, but then you had something at work that you had to take care of, like it got in the way. You were hoping on having a chill weekend, but then you had some stupid, something that you had to deal with over the weekend, I also feel like Taurus, this is going to be a little bit of it's going to be a little warm up for what's going to be happening this year for you guys, as well as what happened last year while Uranus was in Taurus for a little bit, just FYI. So Gemini, 3rd house, this to me feels a little bit like emotion in the irrational world meets, and especially like ego-based irrationality, when someone their ego's been hurt, and then they freak out on you, and you're just like, whoa, that was over the top. So someone's wounded, someone's pride being wounded, and then they're being like, so kind of feels a little bit, and it's Sunday, it'll be, Sunday here in the United States when this will be happening. So it's kind of Saturday night, like all weekend, the full moon kind of is like a 3-day event, especially eclipses. I've been feeling this eclipse all week, and especially, oh my gosh, the last 2 days, sleep has been bizarre. Time has felt just so odd. Like I've been like, what time is it? Are you kidding me right now? That's normal. That's an eclipse phenomena for whatever reason, especially for people who are sensitive, intuitive to the moon. But for you guys, for Geminis, it might be just a little bit more emotional mess than you're maybe wanting to have to deal with. And having the sun in Aquarius in the 9th, 0 degrees of Aquarius is kind of like some news information that came through that you were not prepared for. Something crazy that you heard, or, something that's just like, what? Wait, what? And you may just decide, I feel like you should stay home. I feel like everybody should just kind of stay home this weekend. Just like, a really good weekend to have plans that just fall through accidentally on purpose, So then when we talk about, let me take a drink before we go into Cancer, water. Cancers. So Cancers, you guys are going to have like your second house triggered, which is your physical world, your movable possessions, what do you value? What gives you a sense of security? What do you hold on to when you're stressed out? Like what makes you feel safe? So you might have some interruptions in that area. You may have something happen unexpectedly that you weren't planning on. Because this to me feels like with the opposite, with the sun being in the 8th, that's being lit up. It's funny because full moon, usually the sun is taking the back seat and the moon is the one that's like, it's her moment to shine. But because it's an eclipse and the earth is like in the middle, it's like this weird, what's happening? Wait, that didn't work out the way I thought it was supposed to work out. So if you've made any kind of promises, agreements, if there was a contract of some kind, if there was somebody said this is how it was going to go down and then it didn't and it went down this other way and you were like, and you were feeling really disappointed. And it had to do with your money, or it had to do with your stuff, or it had to do with damage to something, or, that kind of thing. Like, that would be how this would kind of play out. So it feels like it's going to affect more your world of, could literally be your world of your finances, or something you have to pay for. But it's tied to, it feels like someone else letting you down, or someone else. But at the end of the day, it's not about them. They didn't let you down. It's about maybe you didn't listen. You maybe made a decision, maybe last year, about something that you knew you shouldn't have made, that involved another person, that let you down, and then now you're paying for it. Okay, so ownership of your inner decision. You're listening to yourself, listening to your heart, and not ignoring your intuition. Okay, Leos, you guys, this is in your first house. This one definitely feels like it's the self versus the partner or another person, and the moon being occulted, meaning it's being shadowed, by the blood moon falling in the first house. That feels emotional. It feels like not feeling like we're being seen. It does feel like hurt feelings. It does feel like, just pull up the chart here to look at it for a sec. Actually, it's something else for you guys. Because I really feel like our Leos, you guys have kind of had a tough go in a lot of ways the last couple of years. You do have Sagittarius forming a nice, wonderful trine to you guys this year, but at the same time you have an inconjunct from Capricorn. So he's kind of like from Pluto and Capricorn, and Saturn's there as well. So like life decisions we've made in the past that we have to be responsible for now, it's kind of dimming our light a little bit, like hashtag adulting. So I feel like Jupiter is coming to show you truth and is bringing you opportunities to see truth. But that's not always like, oh, yay, truth, it's the best. Lessons are great. Like sometimes they're great after you feel wiser and smarter for having experienced them, but they're not always fun to learn. And these do have to do with very much kind of like how you're living your life. And in your life, are you being real with yourself, with who you are? What spiritual things have you been learning? You guys really are learning a lot about sacrifice this year and serving other people and humility and that kind of thing. So, those will come to the surface probably. It'll probably be more about someone else than about, you this weekend. Maybe even family related, okay? When we talk about Virgo will be experiencing kind of 12th house. So this is definitely having that moon in the 12th. Virgos have been experiencing a little bit of that Piscean, Neptunian stuff because Neptune's opposite Virgo right now. So Neptune can make us feel really out of it and can make us feel even like, is what I'm thinking really what's happening? We can feel sort of delusional or dreamy or drunken, you know. And we can also feel like if you're Sun in Virgo, like our life, we're not quite sure about the shape of our life sometimes with, you know, the Neptune opposition. Is like, is our life, is this really, am I really me? You know, like looking back and going, wait, am I who I think that I am? You know, is my life the life I think that it is? And Jupiter might be showing you, it might be a little different than you've been thinking that it is. Maybe it's time to really open your eyes and see in your life where you've been hyper-focusing on sort of finding some ideal, perfect thing out there in the world, maybe through your relationships, maybe looking for the perfect partner, when really it's not about that. It's about, where do you hide your own light, your own inner Leo, your inner child? Where do you think that someone else is going to fix you or heal you, or that's being the servant to someone else is going to fix you or heal you? Because it's not. It's just going to keep you feeling like you're less than. It's going to keep you in a place of brokenness. As soon as you recognize that you were created with a certain shape, you're not meant to be like a circle, some perfect circle. There's no such thing. You're like a certain cool, funky, weird shape. You're a signature that no one else has. You're like a fingerprint that's weird and different and supposed to be. But it's also a fingerprint. We all are a fingerprint. You know what I mean? It's like you're human. You're the same. We're all human, but you're just uniquely human. So that's Virgo's big lesson, I think, this year. And the victim mentality, the hyper focus on perfectionism and waiting until things are perfect, or being overly self-deprecating, or being just critical of the self, or being anxious or neurotic about things, or projecting onto other people your expectations, your perfectionism, and being disappointed in people constantly. Just because you hold yourself to a standard that's not fair for yourself, you shouldn't hold other people to that standard either, right? Like, being disappointed by other people is because you're holding people to a standard that you shouldn't be holding them to. People are going to do what they're going to do. You getting disappointed by them is actually a problem. That means you had an expectation of a person, right? Like, people are going to just let you down. That's life. Okay, when we talk about Libra, then, I'm drinking more water. We're at a cardinal angle, I don't know. So Libra is easy because you always have whatever the sign the planet is in. It's always the opposite house. Or it's the opposite sign, rather. So the moon is in the 7th house. So the sun. I just said that totally wrong. I'm sorry. Put Libra in the 1st house, and the moon is in the 11th house. The sun is in the 5th house. So it's the Libra Aquarius axis. I think my mind is getting tired. The Leo Aquarius axis. So Libras are definitely learning and taking a step back right now when it comes to relationships. Even if you're married, even if you're happily in a relationship, that's fine. But this weekend will be one where we're kind of evaluating the self, the authentic self, and the authentic self's needs versus relationships and the patterns we have been living in our world, in our relationships in particular, that have been not authentically true. We all, as Libras, have, because I'm a Libra, we all have Pluto in our 4th, which is the Cancer house. So we've been learning, it's been moving through there, transforming us, forcing us into situations where we're having to feel, pain, or feel a sense of, where do I belong? Where's home? Where am I safe? And watching things disappear on us that we thought we could count on, that kind of thing. So we're rebuilding that. We're rebuilding, and we're getting stronger. Thank you, Uranus and Pluto. I'm so excited for Uranus to get out of Aries finally and be gone. But we're stronger now, and we are learning more about being independent, Libras, but also being authentically true with how we feel, being independent but vulnerable. And so this is going to be one where maybe your plans with friends might fall through, or maybe, having the moon, it's hanging out in the 5th. It's in the house that has to do with maybe the self. Maybe you have plans with a friend. Maybe you don't know what you're going to do this weekend. Maybe it's up in the air. That's the other possibility. Friends might be a little all over the place too. If you've got some good friends, they may be a good friend in particular, like a best friend. You might think you have plans with them this weekend, might not. If you have a relationship with someone, that might be sort of, you just might be really busy right now. You may have a lot of opportunities right now in your life and in your world. Jupiter in the third can bring a lot of stuff. You may just not quite know what you're going to be doing this weekend. I would suggest staying home if you can. You may not be able to this weekend though. You may have something that pulls you, for whatever reason, out of your little comfy zone. So be prepared for that too. Scorpios, you guys are going to have the moon in the 6th. So this is tied to work, or I'm sorry, my brain, I swear. You will have you're going to have let me make sure I say this the right way, because sometimes in life my brain is, I just said, I had a head injury. And I just reversed everything for Libra too. Okay, let me back up my brain. Libra, the moon is in the 11th house and the sun is in the 5th house. So I was saying maybe try to do something yourself because plans with friends might fall through. Thank you. Sorry. Scorpio, you guys have the moon in the 10th. So work-related stuff, career-related stuff that perhaps pops up for you that's got to do with like clients, home and client conflicts. Maybe even in your world where you've taken responsibility for something, or maybe you haven't taken responsibility for something and you're getting called to the carpet now. You're called to the, someone's coming to you with problems because, maybe it's something you have to fix. Sagittarius, you guys have, this for you will be sort of, 9th house, right? So that's you, the self. You guys, I feel like, I'm imagining Sagittarius right now just kind of blindly like, la 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 la. I feel like you guys have opportunities right now in your world. I don't know that last year was so great for you. I think last year was probably, could have been a pretty challenging year. You may have had some things lately that have made you feel brightened and feel hopeful for the future. But because we've got Neptune in here too, be really careful about, read the instructions, read the label, like several times. Have a friend read the label. Listen to other people's advice. Listen to other people, what they're saying to you this year, because it's a great year for you to learn more about your true self and the areas in your life where you lie to yourself and where you fall short. Honesty is a big thing this year. Big, but it starts first with being honest with yourself about who you are. And if you're selling yourself short, and you're pretending to be something different from who you really are, just to feel validated, or to not feel lonely, to not feel, your feelings, anxiety, or to not feel sad, then that's problematic. So you guys may have, I think you guys will be probably this weekend, Mars is forming a trine to you. You have a few things that I don't really have any idea what's going to happen with y'all, to be honest. I don't know. You could go in a lot of different directions because I just feel blind with with Neptune there. I'm like, I just think you guys are going to be all over the place, and you guys are like in dreamland right now. That's how it feels. So, je ne sais pas. Capricorn, you guys are going to be, is the 8th house, moon in the 8th. So this is going to be a bit more like, maybe could be tied, I don't know, it feels like just stay home. Stay home, and if you can, if possible. It feels like it could be emotionally pretty a high processing weekend. And you've got Pluto in Capricorn. You've already got that happening for you, and Saturn. I feel like, and having the moon being occulted, an eclipse. Where in your life maybe have you worried too much about what other people think about you, or how other people, where have you been the one who's also maybe held the bag, been the responsible party for someone else who should have been responsible? Where have you judged people? Where do you need to stop judging people? Maybe you get judged. Maybe you have something happen where you get emotionally put under a microscope a little bit. Maybe you feel vindicated, or you feel like you have something that happens where you feel like you're in the right, but maybe you're not, So I feel like just stay home, just process. Moving on to Aquarius. So 7th house for you guys, this is going to be, your house of relationships, and kind of feels like somebody might want, someone else might want to kind of spend time with you perhaps. It might fall through on you. You may have plans with someone, with a partner. There may be something with a partner that disrupts other plans that you have. You might have plans with a friend, but then then your partner has something happening, so you have to take care of them, or something kind of being pulled. It feels like being pulled in several directions this weekend. Pisces, then, you guys are experiencing this in your 6th. So that's your house of, I always think of Virgo is about, it's a polishing. It's a house of polishing, healing. But like recognizing when you're polishing a stone, let's say you cut open a geode and it's got this really unique, cool pattern in it. Like celebrating that weird, there's no right way, there's no right pattern. So it can be a time where we might feel, you might get sick too. That's another thing, because it is our house of health, And so sometimes with the eclipses we can have health issues. Careful with drinking too, by the way, for everybody. It's going to be like, whew. Everything's always like way emotional stuff that's been buried it comes out. It's like it has more power during eclipses. It's just like built up in it. It's like, when you have a hose and you kink it up and then the water comes out really fast. It's like, that's how this eclipse kind of feels to me. So it just feels like things kind of come into the surface really in a crazy way. And that's for everybody, not just Pisces. Pisces just feels pretty, listen, stay home, put some music on, I don't know. Enjoy some time, quiet time with someone you love if you can. If you don't have someone you love with you, it feels like a weekend where Pisces and Virgos with Neptune, it's very spiritual. It's going to be a very spiritual time for you to kind of get in contact with your higher self, with your spirit guides, angels, whatever particular belief system you have. But don't go looking externally for answers this weekend because you're not going to find them. Those will fall through on you. You may have like something, you may think I want to take a weekend where your boundaries might get checked this weekend. You may decide you're going to do something for yourself and then somebody may need you this weekend. So be aware of that. Okay. All right, you guys. Sending you lots of love and light. And I hope you guys have a great eclipse weekend. Remember, this is a weekend's all about your inner child, your inner 5-year-old who's happy and skipping around in the sunshine and who's weird and wild and free. And that's who you really are. And that's the part that we want to see and the part we want to celebrate this year. Not the part that's not that. Okay, take care. Okay, bye-bye.